So this morning I woke up, looked out the window, and this is what I woke up to. For those of you living in a similar biome, you probably have the same task coming up that I'm doing this morning. My ditch banger has been in the garage all summer, and now it's time to get it out. I think it does run. I think that the battery will be okay because I did have it on a tender for quite a while. I think I siphoned most of the fuel out for other machines, but we'll see if it runs and I can at least get it out of the garage. And what I'm gonna do is take it into work and have Troy go over it. I know that it needs a carb clean and a bunch of other little things addressed, so we're gonna go over it front to back, and I'm gonna show you guys how I'm going to prep my ditch banger for the season. So we have all kinds of renovations going on. We just tidied up a little bit, believe it or not. So here it is. My kids use this. I use it to get around in the little community where I live, 500 people, go across the lake. So first thing I'm gonna do is just open up the hood and make sure that there's no mice in here. There probably isn't because it's inside. So I don't see any evidence of any mice in here, but that's important because if there's mice in the air box, you can suck all that junk and mouse piss through your motor. I can see that I'm out of fuel, but I think there's probably still some in there. Let's see if it starts or if it even turns over. Oh yeah, there's an EarthX battery in there, a big one. So good chance it will fire up. Now, if the fuel in here was super old, I would not even be firing it up. I would bring it straight to the shop and clean the carbs, because if the carbs are too gummed up, it'll run lean and you risk seizing a motor. And the thing that's probably gonna happen right now is there's old fuel in the float bowls. A bunch of it is probably evaporated, so there's probably not much fuel in the float bowls. And as I'm turning the motor over, the fuel pump has to prime the whole fuel system. So if you have a pull start unit without electric start, it'll probably take a while. And what you may want to do is pull one of the lines off one of the carburetors as you're cranking it and make sure that fuel is flowing. And that's also going to put fresh fuel through those lines, because if it's in the carb and in the lines, it's probably not going to fire very well. So let's see what happens. I'm going to choke on all the way. Okay, perfect. I know we got old fuel in the line, and that's probably what's gonna happen to yours too. This is premix. I'm just gonna dump some into the airbox, and this is not recommended. That's not safe. I'm just gonna dump a little bit in, because if it backfires, you're gonna have a fire on your hands. So don't do this. Get ready. So I got some fresh fuel in there now. The fuel pump is pumping. Let's fire it up again. So it's been just about a minute now. It's almost idling. It's running pretty good considering that there's old fuel in it. If yours does not run very well, then don't try and get it to run very well. If it doesn't run well, you're gonna need to clean the carbs. There is a small chance, if it's not running well, that it just needs spark plugs, so you can try that. I'm gonna lift up the back of this thing. So it seems to run decent, but it won't idle. And I'm sure that's because the pilots are plugged or because the old fuel or something. So load this thing in the truck, bring it over to the shop, show you step by step what you should be doing. So we got the sled in here, got it fired up. It's running a little bit rough. You got a hole in your shirt. You should talk to Chris about that.
Yeah, might need a couple new t-shirts. This one will probably end up taking the carbs off, keep them separate, because a lot of the times they're jetted a little different. Besides that, definitely for anything fan, you want to check the coolant fan, the belt, because if that is not functioning, you're definitely going to overheat the engine and it's going to squeak.
Anybody who has a sled that's this age probably lives pretty rural, like I do, and you're probably using this thing to go check the mail or to bomb around in the field or to pull your kids on the GT, all that kind of stuff. So I bought this thing for $1,000. This is not something that anybody's going to want to spend a huge amount of money on, but that's one of those critical things. If the fan's not running, the belt is broken, or if that's not running, you're going to have a serious problem that's going to basically mean that you wasted your $1,000. That's basically what we want to do, is make it so that we can utilize that $1,000 so we get a season out of this thing and it doesn't have some stupid failure that's preventable. So what's the first thing we're going to do?
First thing, I'm most likely going to tear the carbs out.
Okay.
And double check, make sure they're synchronized properly before I pull them out?
No, in this case, I mean, I checked compression last year and I know that the cylinders are basically the same. For someone who has just bought a sled like this or hasn't done any maintenance to it, should we check compression before we do carbs?
Yeah, before tearing into it, that's probably the first thing that you're going to want to do if you are in the market for going to look at one prior to buying. I definitely do a compression test and make sure that fan is functional.
So those of you that have been following me for a while know that I don't usually like to check compression to check the condition of a motor, but in this case we have 2 cylinders, so we can compare side to side, and if you have a big difference, then you know that you have an issue. So this is where checking compression can be actually a really valuable thing to do. Okay, so carbs are out, ready to yank the bowls off.
One thing, good telltale, you pull the drain plug off, you can obviously a little bit of schmutz in the bottom of that.
Yeah, it doesn't look terrible, that one, but...
No, definitely seen worse. There's no green, so that's always a good sign.
Yeah, they get stuck on with those paper gaskets.
They do.
There you go. Holy crap, it looks great.
Main's good. Don't usually see those plugged up too often.
No.
Surprisingly, it looks pretty darn good.
Oh yeah, it does. Looks good. Wow.
And one thing to watch with these Mikuni carbs, these float support pins are somewhat pressed in.
Oh yeah. So
you definitely need to support. I like to try and support them with a socket. Sometimes it's a bit of a 2-person job, because if you don't, you're going to break this tab off and then you have to completely replace the carburetor.
Yeah, that sucks.
There it goes.
There we go. So we're supporting that bottom tower so that when we hit on here, it doesn't break the whole thing off.
I've learned that the hard way in the past.
Me too. I did it one time. Now this could be another area where there's an issue if these float needles aren't holding pressure. Actually, that's something we should show on the other one. Let's check the pop-off.
Pop-off.
So this is a pop-off gauge. Not something that a whole lot of mechanics even know exists, but basically a float valve should hold about 5 psi, and if it's not, then you're going to be flooding it, and if it holds too much, or if like it's gummed up or something, then obviously it's going to starve for fuel. Now, my gauge is pretty old and the needle shows like 27 pounds all the time, but basically you can tell pretty quick. Usually if a needle's leaking, the needle's just going to go up and then come straight back down. We can get a good idea if the float needle is sealing well or not. Usually you check this on the machine when there's fuel in there, but this will give us a good indication. So I'm putting just a little bit of pressure on there. Now it's holding.
Yep.
Now when I let go, pops off. So you'll see if you put too much pressure, it'll pop off. Yeah, that's what. So you can see it starts kind of coming back. Okay, good. Our needles are good. Assuming that you don't have a pop-off gauge, you can blow in them and see. Usually if they're leaking, you could soap test them, but usually if they're leaking, you can hear it right away. It's pretty obvious. You don't need a fancy pop-off gauge. Now on these Mikunis, they have a thread-in seat, and pull that out too. In this case, this carb is looking like pretty spiffy, so we're not going to find anything in there, but we're going to go in there and clean everything anyway.
One body ready for the deep fryer.
Air screw.
Already pulled it out.
Oh, you already pulled it out. You're ahead of me.
Right there.
Perfect.
And always write down your
oh, you got it written down right there.
Your turns.
Now we will put these in the ultrasonic cleaner, so when you see me next, these will be spick and span. Looking all nice and clean. Not looking new, but looking clean. I'm kind of wondering because these carbs were looking pretty good, so maybe the running issue was just shitty fuel. And we didn't film it, but the carbs were not synced very well. The slides were not raising evenly. We're gonna sync those up, so we'll film it on the way back together. But that does bring up old fuel. If the fuel's been sitting in the tank all summer, you probably want to drain it. Unless your house is like my house and the fuel has already been siphoned out because you were out of gas on a holiday or something and had to siphon it out for your other machines. So Troy's got the carbs back in, and before this carb slide was lifting like that, probably a good 1/8, maybe 3/16 of an inch before the other one. So Troy just adjusted them. Now they're lifting exactly the same. It's perfect. So we'll have to readjust the idle and stuff, but it'll probably run a little better. This belt is new. I must have replaced it last year, but what are we looking for?
Usually cracking if the cord is fraying off the edge, and especially you'll see cracking either on top in between the cogs or in between on the inside, you'll see it cracking and falling apart.
I remember something about just checking the height that the belt is on the secondary. Is that a thing?
Yes, I just put the belt back on. I haven't quite.
So what are you doing right there? You're just making it loose,
sure that
making sure that the secondary is all the way closed?
Is closed all the way, yeah. So there, yeah, usually you want the top of your secondary to be level with the bottom of the top cog.
Okay. Oh, and so you grease the speedo cable?
Yeah, bottom left, there's a grease nipple in here. You usually want to check, make sure that the speedo cable is hooked up and tight. If they get a little loose, it can slide out from the...
Yeah, I've seen that before. It'll strip out the end and wreck the cable.
Break, and then your odometer and your speedometer don't work anymore.
Yeah. Okay, we got her up here. We're greasing all this stuff. Man, this thing's getting some love. So on this one, basically, that's the only thing that we need to grease up front. And back here, are you already done?
Yep.
Oh.
I'm just wiping the excess grease off.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Something my dad always wanted to do is if you're on the side of a trailer or something, you need to reach in and work on your suspension. You don't want to get grease all over your snowmobile suit.
Yeah. So we got one there, one there. Basically, wherever there's a pivot, you want to look for
up top
a grease
here,
nipple.
one here,
up top in there,
and there's one up front on the right side.
Yeah, right in there. While we're in here, have a look at the limiter strap. It's all frayed and stuff, but it's fine. Shocks aren't even leaking. Keep an eye out for pitting. This shock does have some pitting. I can feel the pitting with my fingers. Back here. Oh, no, it's not even pitting. It's just dirty. A lot of these trail sleds, especially on the East Coast where it's flat and they get salt on them, these shafts always get pitted. This one, I can't really do that because it's got that stupid shield on it. The track tension. You got a rule of thumb for checking track tension, Troy?
Usually there's gauges, but it just over time you kind of know the feeling.
Just kind of that much?
Yeah.
This one, I mean, I feel like this might be a little on the tight side.
A little bit.
How do our sliders look?
This one definitely is a little worn.
It's got somewhere.
Yeah, you could probably get away with this season.
Yeah.
Because it's only worn in the one spot there.
We'll add that to the list of stuff to do next season.
Yeah.
And then alignment. I mean, I know that the alignment is good, but...
Yeah, I usually will reference either
the
metal.
Just kind of compare.
The width, there's space between the metal clips and the slider.
Yeah.
Will tell you. So if you've got a tighter gap on this side, you want to tighten the other side to adjust the rear axle to recenter your track.
And then bearings and stuff on all the rollers. Man, for a 25-year-old sled, Jesus, they're all good.
Yeah, wheels are in good shape. There's no chunks out of it. No damage to the track.
And then carbides. I put new carbides on it last year. I put long ones, and I think I put these skins on, and they're in rough shape, but that's fine. I put long carbides on here, and something you mentioned before, the difference between carbides and just runners. The runners don't have those bits of carbide on there. Like modern mountain sleds, nobody wants carbides. I want my wife and my kids to be able to head out onto the road and turn on this thing. Carbides are also good on the ice, so for an old ditch banger like this, lots of carbide. Definitely have a little bit of an issue here, but that's fine. And the A-arm is bent too, also fine. Let's see what happens.
Run it on the stand?
Let's do it.
Right inside?
Ha ha ha!
Bars easier.
Yeah. That sounds better. Fan's working great. I'm gonna come over here and grab some brake clean. I'll let it idle, and I'm just gonna check the crank seal. So if the crank seal was leaking, it would pick up on this brake clean, and the idle would, usually the idle will creep up. You'll notice it. So we got a good crank seal. So it seems to me like the idle might be a little bit rich. So instead of raising the idle, which is kind of the intuitive thing to do, we're gonna give it a little bit more air and lean it out and see if that makes a difference. I can reach it. You went half a turn?
Yes.
I'm thinking that because the idle came down and it would idle and then it slowly just drops. If the idle setting itself was too low, it would probably just drop and kind of die right away. that made a difference. That was an improvement for sure.
He's a happy camper now.
Just a half a turn on the air screws. Now we are not changing the chain case oil or checking the chain case tension, which is right here, because I did that last season. Basically, you want to set your chain tension, set it so that it's tight, and then back it off a little bit. You don't want a whole bunch of tension on that chain. You just want it tight enough so it doesn't slop around in there. I got a nice EarthX battery in there. Now we're just going to check charging on the battery just to make sure that my wife and kids don't get stuck way out in the woods. So we'll take a static battery reading. We got 13.27. Ready?
Yep.
Especially for a lithium battery, it's not excellent. Not really ideal, but it's charging. Check my brake pads there, I got tons of life. Now, if I had any concerns, I would be looking at the oil flow and just make sure that it's coming out. I'm not worried about that at all. These old mechanical oil pumps are super bulletproof. It's not a bad idea to have a look at your exhaust. This one's in great shape, but you want to make sure that the exhaust isn't leaking and filling the hood with smoke. You want to make sure you got your spare spark plugs and a spare belt, and that you know how to change it on your specific unit. And it's not a bad idea to check and make sure that your heated grips are working. And on a sled, I mean, I don't know about you, but I tend to be riding my sled at night, so you want to make sure that the lights are working. This one, the taillight even works. This sled has 9,300 kilometers on it, which is definitely a lot, but obviously this thing's been taken care of really well. It's not a bad idea to throw out last year's beer cans. In my case, for some reason, there's a bunch of finish nails in here. I have no idea why. So that's pretty much it. There are some things that I didn't cover. We did take apart the secondary and check the bumpers. There's reverse bumpers and drive bumpers, and if the sled has been used very hard or if it's old, there is a chance that those bumpers can be worn out, so it's not a bad idea to pull the secondary apart. We also cleaned the primary and the secondary. Pretty easy to do. We use the ultrasonic cleaner, but you can just use Scotch-Brite on the sheaves. It's totally fine. Also, checking the track, I think that's pretty straightforward. Just make sure that it's not torn or anything. The point is that you want to get your nose in the machine, check over everything, and catch things before they break so that you get the winter out of your ditch banger and that your wife or your kids are not stuck in the woods and then they're mad at you.